Aliens created a threat pyramid. Then a human asked, "What's beyond Apex?" The hall was not built for fear. It was built to make people trust the rules. The central classification chamber shone like a glass shell at the heart of the station. Walls of clear stone bent white light into soft colors. Air and gravity stayed steady. Machines hummed. Everything said, "The galaxy is under control." On the lowest tier, near a side door, was the human section. It was one plain chair, bolted to the floor, as if someone had remembered humans at the last minute. Envoy Cade Rivers sat in that chair like it was the best seat in the house. He had arrived early. He had tried to greet the nearby delegates. Most gave stiff nods or nothing at all. When no one wanted to talk, Cade opened the glossy booklet given at the entrance. Unified Threat Index, the title said in friendly letters. Cartoon aliens smiled on the cover, holding hands and tentacles. It looked like a school book, not a serious report. As the chamber filled, Cade watched the others. Armored insectoids folded into rows. Crystal beings drifted near the lights. Plant diplomats settled in soil trays. At the back, alone in a damp ring, a lump of gel quivered in slow waves. Above the center platform, a wide holographic plate waited in standby. When the last seat was taken, the lights dimmed. A tall, silver-framed being stepped onto the platform. Her body was made of neat, overlapping plates. "Honored representatives," she said. The translator spread her voice across the hall. "I am Director Eric's of the Accord Taxonomy Office. Today we complete the classification of every known sapient species by threat profile." The hologram flared to life. A pyramid appeared. The base glowed blue, low concern. Above it came green and yellow bands. Observation, caution. Near the narrow top, harsh orange and red. High risk, then apex predator. A slow wave moved through the crowd. "This index," Eric said, "uses battle records, psychology, history, and behavior. From now on, contact policy will be clear." Cade turned a page. The same pyramid smiled up again and again. Numbers. Icons. Simple labels. No word human anywhere. He raised his hand. On the platform, Eric's paused. "Questions will be answered after the presentation, Envoy Rivers." "Just one," Cade said. His tone was light, but it carried. "On that neat little pyramid, where did you put us?" The hall did not fall quiet. It froze. Breathing continued. Machines hummed. But every eye turned toward the human. "Humans are, of course, included," Eric said. The words sounded like part of a script. "The accord would not be complete without your species." She turned toward the console beside her. "Analyst Dre, display the human entry. Species, Terran human, origin soul." Dre's fingers moved across the light field. Nothing changed. The pyramid hung in the air, perfect and calm. Dre tried again. The image flickered. A thin red line flashed at the edge and vanished too fast to read. Eric's plates tightened. "There is a minor retrieval issue," she said. "One moment." On the human tier, Cade sat a little straighter. He had seen minor issues like that before. They usually meant the system had hit something someone tried to hide. A low murmur started and died at once. The air felt heavier. Eric stepped down to the console. "Open the raw file," she said. "Bypass display filters." The pyramid vanished. Rows of tight symbols and numbers replaced it. Dre dug through them. At the center of the projection, one line grew larger, pushing everything else aside. The letters turned bright crimson. Classification, restricted entry. Flag, policy anomaly, do not present in public sessions. For a moment, no one moved. Then the hall reacted. Armored forms straightened. Leaves trembled. Crystal bodies dimmed. At the back, the gel creature slumped with a wet sound. Cade let out a slow breath. His mouth curved in a small, interested smile. "Well," he said into silence. "That doesn't sound like low concern." The silence in the chamber felt thick, like the air itself held its breath. Director Eric's stared at the crimson warning as if it were a weapon aimed at her. Analyst Dre's hands hovered over the console, shaking slightly. "This entry should not appear," Eric's whispered. "Not during a public assembly. Not ever." She tapped a command. The warning did not disappear. Instead, it spread, crimson veins crawling through the text until the entire hologram pulsed with a slow, steady glow. Delegates shifted uneasily. Some species hissed. Others clicked. The gel creature in the back made a noise that sounded like regret. Envoy Cade rose from his single-bolted chair. He didn't rush. He didn't speak loudly. He simply stood there, hands in pockets, studying the giant red letters as if he had walked into a museum and found a mislabeled painting. "Eric's," he said gently. "It seems your system is trying very hard to hide something." Her metallic plate stiffened. "Human classification data is restricted under Accord Protocol 77C. It should not be accessible through regular channels." "But it is," Cade replied, "which means someone either forgot to lock it, or the system decided to show us anyway." A collective tremor passed through the insectoid rows. Systems did not decide anything. "Not here." "Open the entry," Cade said. "We cannot," Eric snapped. "It is sealed by the Founding Council. Even I lack the clearance." Cade tilted his head. "Then why did the system try to display it?" Dre swallowed, an odd movement for a species with no visible throat. "Because someone overrode the permissions." Eric spun toward her. "Who?" Dre's voice trembled. "No one in this room. No one on this station. The override is centuries old." The delegates reacted instantly. A wave of alarm spread. A plant being shed leaves in stress. A crystalline diplomat vibrated until its chair rattled. Cade felt a chill work up his spine. Centuries. The human species had only joined the Accord 20 years ago. "So," Cade said slowly, "before humans even entered the galactic community, someone filed a warning about us." Eric's opened her mouth, but no words came out. Cade stepped closer to the platform. "Director, show me what the file says." "I cannot." The hologram changed by itself. Lines of text rearranged. A new phrase surged forward in bright, violent red. "Threat type, non-pattern entity. Reason, does not align with predator-prey axis. Contact status, do not engage without oversight." Half the chamber gasped. A few fainted. The gel creature flattened into a puddle of despair. Cade blinked at the words. "Non-pattern." His translator replayed the phrase again, as if unsure. "Non-pattern entities," Eric said in a low, strained tone, "are theoretical species that do not follow any known behavioral logic. They do not fit the structures we use to understand life. And you think humans are one?" Cade raised a brow. "Humans are chaotic, sure, but non-pattern." Dre scrolled further, hands trembling. More text appeared. Early attempts to classify species terminated. Cause: classifiers exhibited irregular behavioral responses. Note: subject species creates unexpected variables in structured systems. Eric's breathed out slowly. This is why the entry was sealed. The Founding Council feared the results. Results of what? Cade stepped closer to the projector. "Director, what exactly happened to the teams that try to classify us?" Dre whispered the answer. "They changed." The word echoed through the room. "Changed how?" Cade pressed. No one responded. But the hologram did. A new message emerged on its own, in jagged red letters. "Next section unlocked, by human presence." Eric stumbled back. "It recognized you." Delegates shrieked. Chairs scraped. One crystalline being emitted a pure note of dread. Cade felt every hair on his arms rise. He smiled faintly. "Director," he said, eyes locked on the strange glowing text. "I think your system wants to tell us more." The lights flickered. The chamber doors sealed with a heavy metallic thud. Emergency alarms whispered awake. The hologram shifted again, revealing another line. "Human entry, level 0 clearance required. Access granted." Cade exhaled. "Looks like," he said softly, "someone wants this story told." The chamber lights dimmed until only the red glow of the hologram lit the delegates' faces. No one moved. No one breathed too loudly. Even the machines seemed to hum more quietly, as if the station itself was listening. Director Eriks stared at the pulsing projection. "Level 0 doesn't exist anymore," she whispered. "It was removed from the system 200 cycles ago. But it just granted access," Cade said, calm as a lake. His voice echoed across the silent room. "So either your system is broken, or something inside it remembered humans." Eriks grimaced. "The Accord Central Network has no memory of your species. Humanity joined far too recently." Cade folded his arms. "Then explain this." The hologram shifted again. No one touched the console, revealing a set of ancient glyphs. Old enough that several species gasped at the sight. "They're pre-surge characters," murmured a plant being, its vines curling in fear. "From before standardized language existed." How can a modern classification file contain symbols from before electronic data? Another delegate choked out. Dre's fingers hovered above the interface. It shouldn't. That's impossible. Kate stepped closer. The glyphs reorganized into a readable translation. Record begins. Cycle unknown. Subject, Terran humans. Notes. Observers lost consistency. Kate frowned. Lost consistency? What does that mean? Eric's whispered. It means the research team stopped behaving like themselves. The insectoid delegates clicked in alarm. The hologram expanded the entry. Attempt 1. Assigned 7 analysts. Objective. Map emotional baseline. Result. Analysts abandoned structure. Created their own emotional categories. Attempt terminated. Attempt 2. Assign 9 analysts. Objective. Measure risk patterns. Result. Analysts argued. Created subcommittees. Threat matrix destabilized. Attempt 3. Assigned full council. Objective. Force standard categorization. Result. Council dissolved itself mid-project. No reason recorded. Cade let out a low breath. Your own people couldn't categorize humans because they changed their entire work structure? That is what it says, Eric's admitted, voice hollow. A crystalline delegate vibrated anxiously. Explain this, Director. How did pre-surge analysts even know what humans were? They didn't, Eric said. Which is why this is impossible. Cade's jaw tightened. Something wasn't adding up. Not at all. The hologram pulsed again, this time faster, as if agitated by the confusion in the room. New lines unlocked. Warning. Subject species induces pattern drift. Warning. Classification team experienced identity feedback. Warning. Do not observe subject without countermeasures. Identity feedback. Cade repeated. What does that mean? Eric swallowed. It means exposure to humans caused the analysts to take on traits of the subject species. Cade blinked. You mean they started acting human? Dre nodded shakily. That is the implication. The crystal delegate's glow flickered with panic. Is that happening to us? Eric shot her a look. No, not unless prolonged contact. She froze. The chamber had been sealed for nearly 10 minutes. No exits. No airflow beyond emergency mode. No escape from the glowing red file. Every species in the room stiffened. Cade raised both hands. Let's all calm down. Nobody's turning human. If anything, this file is just old mistakes your system never cleaned up. Eric's wasn't convinced. Old mistakes don't write warnings in real time. As if to answer her, the hologram updated again. Additional note detected, locked since origin. Unsealing. The temperature dropped. The lights dimmed further. Every translation device in the room gave a small electronic sob. Actual audio, not a malfunction. Then the final line appeared. Subject response. They asked a question. Question. What is beyond Apex? File corruption immediately followed. Eric stared at the last phrase. This section was the reason the entry was sealed. The founders banned this file because it destabilized entire research branches. Cade rubbed his neck. All because humans asked what comes after the top threat. No one answered. But the hologram did. It brightened suddenly, casting a harsh crimson light on Cade's face. Query detected. Human presence equals active. System response. Continuing storyline from last interruption. Loading next file. Eric's voice cracked. There is no next file. Humans weren't even in the galaxy then. Yet the hologram pushed forward. Lines filled the air, glowing brighter, faster, more frantic, until they formed one new message. They returned. Different name, different form, same pattern. Cade's heartbeat kicked hard. He whispered, Director, who returned? Eric's didn't answer, because the system did. The lights died. The hologram flared blood red. Identity match detected. Human. And the chamber shook. The floor trembled beneath hundreds of feet and appendages. Cracks of pale blue light crawled across the chamber walls like veins reacting to a sudden pulse. Delegates cried out in their species-specific ways, buzzing wings, vibrating shells, rustling leaves, metallic ringing. Cade didn't panic. He watched the shaking floor with a strange, steady calm, as if earthquakes were normal parts of his schedule. Eric steadied herself against the console. This chamber is reinforced against seismic activity. The only thing that can shake it is the station itself, Dre whispered. Something is waking up the core. The hologram flickered violently, symbols warping into spirals and collapsing back into words. Core alignment shift, initiated. Source, human entry recovery. Location, Foundation archive. Eric's plates rattled. No, that archive was dismantled, deleted, removed. There is no Foundation archive on this station. Cade raised a brow. Your system disagrees. The hologram pulsed again. Guidance, human presence required. Follow markers. A glowing line of red light shot across the floor, pointing toward a small door at the far end of the chamber. One nobody remembered being there. The delegates recoiled. That door was not here before, murmured a crystalline diplomat. It wasn't, Eric said. I would stake my career on it. The red path pulsed brighter, urging movement. Cade started walking. Eric stepped in front of him. Envoy Rivers, you cannot simply walk into an unauthorized corridor created by a malfunction. Cade smiled. Director, the entire galaxy is having a meltdown because humans don't fit in a pyramid. At this point, walking into suspicious doors is basically my job. He gently stepped around her. The crowd parted instinctively, as if the path itself was dangerous to touch. Dre whispered behind him. Why is it reacting to him? Why only him? Eric's watched the red light crawl across the floor. Because it is responding to the identity match. It wants the human to continue the sequence that began long before our time. Cade reached the door. It opened on its own. Cold air drifted out, carrying the stale scent of stone and old technology, the kind that predated even galactic memory. A long, downward staircase spiraled into darkness. Eric's took a step forward, torn between fear and duty. We shouldn't go down there. Cade looked back at her. What happens if we ignore it? Before she could answer, the hologram behind them spoke again, this time through the chamber speakers in a blunt, mechanical voice. Warning. If human does not enter within 120 seconds, system will restart classification protocol. Restart includes memory rewrite procedures. Affected targets, all present species. Panic erupted. Insectoid delegates clattered in alarm. Crystal diplomats glowed dangerously bright, ringing like chimes. The gel creature liquefied in terror. Cade exhaled. Well, guess that's our answer. Eric's clenched her jaw. Envoy Rivers. For the record, I officially declare this reckless and unsafe. Great, he replied. Let's go. I'm not. But Dre had already followed Cade through the doorway. Eric's cursed in her native tongue, a sharp, metallic sound, and went after them. The door closed behind the three with a heavy metallic slam, sealing them away from the panicking chamber. The descent. The staircase descended far deeper than any part of the station should have. Smooth walls turned rougher. Lights grew sparse, showing patches of ancient metal fused with stone. Dre's voice trembled. Director, this construction predates the Accord by thousands of cycles. Eric's inspected a thick support beam with disbelief. This isn't station architecture. This is something else. Something older. Cade touched the wall. It hummed faintly under his palm. Alive, almost heartbeat-like. Feels warm, he said quietly. Eric stiffened. Nothing down here should generate heat. The path ended at a massive circular door. Dust coated its surface, except for the center, where something had recently cleared it away. A handprint. Human-shaped. Cade stared. Director, how long has this station existed? Eric swallowed. 412 cycles. Cade pressed his palm to the print. The door unlocked instantly. Stone gears groaned. The door split open. Behind it, a massive underground hall, a cathedral of ancient machines and carvings stretching far beyond their light. Dozens of pillars rose from the floor, each etched in old symbols. Red lines pulsed along the carvings, following the same rhythm as the hologram above. Dre's knees buckled. No, this can't be real. Eric's voice trembled. This is the original classification vault. The first one ever built. The one the founders ordered destroyed. Cade stepped inside, breath shallow. So why is it here? A voice, mechanical, ancient, cracked with age, answered from the darkness. Because the founders lied. The three froze. Slow, grinding sounds came from deeper within the vault. And because the last time we tried to classify humans, the galaxy almost fell apart. Cade whispered. What exactly did we do? The answer came like a distant echo. You appeared twice. And the darkness moved. The grinding sound grew louder, echoing through the ancient hall like a heartbeat trapped in metal. Dust drifted down from the vaulted ceiling. Somewhere in the shadows, gears turned, slow, deliberate, as if waking from centuries of sleep. Cade took a cautious step forward. Whatever's down here, it knows us. Eric's held up an arm, her plates shivering. Stay behind me. We don't know if it's hostile. Director, Cade said gently, if it wanted to kill us, it wouldn't be taking its time. Dre swallowed hard. Are you sure? No, Cade replied. But it sounds polite. Something massive shifted in the dark. A deep, resonant hum rolled across the floor. The ancient vault responded with faint pulses of red light, the same rhythm that had led them here. Eric squinted. Lights. Increase. Her wrist console flickered, then died. Static. Total shutdown. Dre tried his. Same result. Cade's device, however, glowed brighter on its own. A beam of white light shot out, illuminating the far end of the chamber. A towering machine stood there. Its shape was humanoid in the weakest sense. For arms. A broad, ribbed torso. A head with no face, only a vertical slit glowing red. Its body was carved with runes older than any language still spoken. The machine stepped forward. The ground shook. Eric's nearly collapsed. That should not exist. The early galaxy didn't have tech like this. Dre whispered, that's not early. That's before early. The machine stopped 10 meters away. The red slit across its face brightened. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal dragged across stone. Designation confirmed. It raised one arm. Runes along its plating ignited. Human. Eric stiffened. How does it know his species? Humans weren't spacefaring then. The machine ignored her, its slit narrowing toward Cade. Second arrival detected. Cade blinked. Second? What was the first? The machine tilted its head, as if confused he didn't know. Human pattern entities have appeared twice in recorded galactic history. First arrival, cycle unknown. Result, structural collapse in classification logic. Second arrival, you. Eric staggered back a step. Then the legends, the first ones who broke early taxonomy. Were human, Dre finished, voice barely audible. But the machine corrected them. They were human-like. Not identical. Not from soul. But similar. It paused. Too similar. Cade's stomach tightened. What happened to them? The first human pattern species. The machine considered. A long hum rattled through its body. They did not fit. Fit what? Cade asked. The machine's slit widened, glowing like a wound. The structure. The design. The rules. They existed outside the hierarchy. Eric steadied herself against a pillar. They were orthogonal. Dre nodded shakily. Not above predator. Not below prey. Sideways to the whole system. The machine bowed its head. Correct. Cade exhaled. Okay, let me guess. When they asked the wrong question, the machine finished for him. The same question you asked today. Red light flickered along the walls. What lies beyond Apex? Dre felt cold. So that's why the old file collapsed. That's why the system panicked. Eric's gripped a support beam to stay upright. Because the question itself destabilized the framework. The machine stepped closer. The temperature dropped. Dust danced in the air. The first ones asked the question. The system tried to answer. The logic broke. The analysts broke. Its voice dropped lower. Entire research branches dissolved into paradox. Cade frowned. So the first ones caused chaos by asking the wrong question. The machine's head turned slightly. No. Red light swept across the room. They caused chaos because they waited for an answer. Cade hesitated. Meaning? The machine's arm lifted, pointing at him. Runes flared like embers. You asked the same question. But you did not wait. Eric's eyes widened. So the system is continuing an unfinished process? Exactly, Dre whispered. It thinks he's them. Or their successor. Or their echo. The machine's final words rumbled through the vault. Humans have returned. It stepped back into the shadows. And the system wants closure. Suddenly, the vault shifted. Panels slid open. More machines awakened. 10, 20, maybe more. Red lights glowing across the hall like a chorus of ancient eyes. Their combined voices shook the floor. Beginning final record. All truths must be revealed. Cade took a step back. Eric's grabbed his shoulder. Cade, whatever happens next, we can't go back. The machines began to move. The vault sealed behind them. And the red light grew brighter. The vault doors slammed shut behind them with a thundering finality. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Ancient gears locked into place. No corridor. No exit. Only darkness, red lights, and the sound of machines waking like giants remembering their purpose. Eric's pulled Kate close. If these constructs were built in the founding era, or before, then they might follow protocols we don't understand. Be careful what you say. Kate exhaled slowly. Director, the system already thinks I'm part of some unfinished story. Dre's eyes darted across the hall. We should move back. Give them space. But the machines were already advancing. Not fast. Not aggressive. Slow. Purposeful. Each step echoed like a closing chapter. The lead construct halted before the three of them. Its voice carried the weight of an entire forgotten age. The first ones came to us seeking order. We failed them. Kate swallowed. How? The hall shuddered as the projection system, older than the Accord itself, flickered to life. Red light dimmed. Faded images appeared on empty air, silhouettes of tall, humanoid figures standing before the same vault. But their faces were blurred. Not by glitch. By design. Dre whispered. Their identities were erased. The machine continued. We attempted classification using the predator-prey axis. They did not align. Eric's nodded softly. Orthogonal species outside the hierarchy. The machine lifted its massive arm. Another image appeared, this one clear. A large diagram of early classification structures. Perfect pyramids. Perfect symmetry. Then a new shape appeared beside them. A line. Simple. Straight. Perpendicular. The machine pointed to it. They followed this. Kate frowned. A straight line. Not a hierarchy. Eric's whispered. A path. The construct's voice deepened. They made friends with predators. They negotiated with prey. They broke cycles that were not meant to be broken. The image shifted. The first beings walked through alien cities, smiling, touching, connecting. Predator species walking peacefully beside species they once hunted. Whole ecosystems shifting in months instead of millennia. Dre felt weak. They changed everything just by being themselves. Eric's whispered. Humans do that too. Kate didn't deny it. The machine stepped forward again. We warned them. Order cannot handle beings who rewrite roles. The next image was darker. Researchers arguing. Records collapsing. Language systems breaking. Analysts abandoning logic frameworks entirely. A chain reaction. Pattern drift. Identity feedback. Collapse of structure. Eric's looked shaken. Their presence forced evolution faster than the system could process. The machine nodded once. They asked questions we could not answer. A new image flickered. A first one standing before the vault, raising a hand. Human-like. Familiar. What lies beyond Apex? The entire hall vibrated. The question itself seemed to scar the projection. Eric's inhaled sharply. The same question asked today. The machine turned its faceless head toward Cade. And when the system collapsed, they left. Cade frowned. Left? As in died. The machine answered with chilling clarity. No. They simply walked out of the system. Beyond our reach. Dre trembled. What does that even mean? The projection zoomed outward, past the vault, past the early galaxy, into deep cosmic patterns. A line extended from the diagram, continuing far beyond the frame of the hologram. A direction. A path. A route out of the entire classification paradigm. Eric stared in awe. They transcended the grid, exited the structure altogether. Cade's voice cracked. And you think humans are the same as them? The machine answered instantly. You follow the same pattern. Not by design. By nature. Suddenly the vault trembled, far stronger than before. A red warning flashed. Foundation system query. Does the second human pattern seek the same exit? Cade stared at the glowing question. Is it asking me? Personally. Eric's grabbed his arm. Do not answer. We don't know what the system will do. The machines drew closer. Lights brightened. The projection narrowed to a single line, stretching infinitely forward into darkness. The system asked again, this time louder, deeper, demanding. Do you wish to leave the hierarchy? The ground cracked under their feet. Dre screamed, Director. The vault is sinking to him. Eric's tried to pull him back. Cade didn't move. He wasn't frozen by fear. He was frozen by something else. Recognition. As if the question had been waiting not just for any human, but for him. The machine's voices merged into one overwhelming resonance. Answer. Human. What path do you choose? And the vault shook again, harder, as if the entire station depended on his next breath. The vault trembled so violently that dust poured from the ceiling like falling ash. Ancient machines braced themselves with groaning metal arms. Pillars cracked. Lights blazed red. The entire hall seemed to lean toward Cade, waiting for his answer like the universe itself was holding its breath. Eric's gripped his sleeve. Cade, listen to me. Do not give it a clear answer. Any direct response could trigger a systemic collapse. Dre was shaking outright. This vault rewrites logic when forced into uncertainty. If you choose a path, the system might try to change the galaxy to match you. The machine chorus boomed. Answer. Cade's pulse thundered in his ears. He didn't fully understand what the first ones had done. He didn't know why the system saw him as their echo. But he understood one thing. Every species in the galaxy had a place on a chart. Even the machines in this vault were built around it. Everything, every rule, every hierarchy, every threat index, assumed that life fit into neat categories. And humans absolutely did not. The vault floor cracked again. Eric's nearly fell. Cade caught her instinctively. Her voice came out weak. Please, whatever you choose, remember who's up there. They'll pay the cost. Cade looked at the projection. The line extended infinitely forward. A path leaving the whole system behind. The path the first ones took. If he chose it, he knew the vault would try to open it again. Maybe for him. Maybe for all of humanity. Maybe for the galaxy. The machines pressed in, towering over him. Human, do you seek the path beyond? Cade lowered his hand. He drew in a slow breath. And then he smiled. A quiet, human smile. Warm. Impossible. Infuriating. No. The vault froze. Machines halted mid-step. Eric's gasped. Dre nearly collapsed. Cade continued, voice steady. We're not leaving your structure. Not breaking it. Not escaping it. He stepped forward boldly, facing the ancient constructs. But we're not fitting into it either. The machines flickered, confused. Cade raised his hands slightly, palms open. Friendly. Disarming. Infuriatingly human. We'll stay, he said. But sideways. On our own axis. Not above. Not below. Not beyond. Just next to everyone else. For a moment, silence filled the vault. Then the resonance changed. The machine's red lights dimmed from violent crimson to a softer glow. The trembling stopped. The cracks in the floor sealed themselves as if time reversed. Dust lifted into the air and vanished. The lead construct straightened. A third option. Another construct spoke. Unclassifiable, but present. A third. Inside the system, but not within the structure. A chorus. Orthogonal. The vault lights flared white. The machines bowed. Actually bowed. Classification updated. Words appeared in the air, gentle, steady blue this time, replacing the red warnings. Human status. Managed uncertainty. Engagement. Optional. Position. Outside axis. Within community. Eric's covered her mouth. This actually works. It doesn't fight the hierarchy. It sits beside it. Dre blinked. A category that's not a category. Cade shrugged. Feels right. Humans are complicated. We'll break less stuff this way. The vault doors opened. Bright, clean station lights spilled inside. The machine spoke one last time, voices now calm. Second arrival. You have chosen harmony instead of leaving. A pause. Almost approval. Tell them, the first ones were never a threat. They simply walked a path the galaxy wasn't ready to follow. Eric's whispered, and humans. The machines answered. You walk the same path. But you look back. Cade swallowed. Softly. So we're different. Yes. You did not seek to escape the system. You chose to stay and reshape it. The vault dimmed. The machines powered down. One last message hovered in the air. Be kind to the order you disturb. IT remembers. The return. When the three emerged into the chamber above, every delegate was there, terrified, frantic, arguing, panicking. Lockdown lights still flashed. They all froze when Cade appeared. Eric stepped aside so everyone could see the floating text behind them. Managed uncertainty. Engagement optional. Gasps erupted. Some delegates fainted. A few cheered. One crystalline diplomat burst into emotional harmonics that sounded suspiciously like applause. Cade climbed onto the platform and cleared his throat. Good news, he announced. We're officially unclassifiable in a friendly way. That's good news, someone squeaked. Better than a paradox flag, Cade replied. The chamber slowly, reluctantly, accepted this. Eric sighed, exhausted. Envoy Rivers. I will need 1,000 pages of reports. Director, Cade said, patting her arm. We'll write them together. Humans excel at paperwork after causing trouble. She groaned. Dre laughed weakly. And high above, the holographic pyramid shifted, rearranging itself to make room for a small, glowing symbol floating beside it. Not above, not below, not in any tier. Sideways. A path of its own. The station AI quietly added a final line beneath the human symbol. Classification subject to change. Expect the unexpected. Cade smiled at it. Yeah, he murmured. That's us.